welcome to day 2 of our Revenge Bedtime Procrastination article. Yeah, I think Mike didn't get enough sleep last night.
Not again.
Did you procrastinate on
No,
sleeping?
actually, I was really good, and I went to bed early, but there was, loud noises around the apartment. The cats woke me up again.
Oh, gosh.
So that's the usual thing, but I didn't engage in revenge bedtime procrastination. I went to bed early, even though I had a busy day. Remember from yesterday, revenge bedtime procrastination is when you don't have fun during the day, you're busy all the time, and then you stay up late because you want to have fun. But then you end up going to bed way too late.
Yeah, girls just want to have fun. Boys just want to have fun. Everyone wants to have fun.
Busy people want to have fun.
Yeah, so we've got more to say about that today, especially about the medical side of sleep.
Yeah, the science of it all.
Yeah, because sleep is really important and it's been studied a lot. We still don't fully understand why we need to sleep, but we understand what it does for us. So let's get to the article and find out some interesting facts about it.
Reading.
Revenge bedtime procrastination is a real headache. Doctors say that adults should get an average of 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Many of us aren't hitting that target, though. For example, a recent study suggested that over 40% of college students in Taiwan don't get enough sleep. There's evidence that this causes weight gain and is bad for your memory. It also might be linked to some kinds of cancer. When many of us should be sleeping, we're looking at our smartphones. This is a big part of the problem. Looking at a smartphone screen before bed worsens sleep quality. That's because the blue light from screens stops our brains from producing a chemical called melatonin. This makes it harder for us to fall asleep. So how do you persuade yourself to sleep earlier? Some doctors suggest making your bed a device-free zone. That means no Netflix, no phone, and no computer. Properly relax every evening, and soon enough, revenge bedtime procrastination will be a forgotten nightmare.
All right, so the article for today, as we mentioned, is going to talk about the science of sleep and more precisely the health benefits of getting sleep and the health problems when you don't get enough sleep. So let's talk about enough sleep. What is the right amount of sleep? And remember, everyone is different, but this is sort of what doctors say in general. It says doctors say that adults should get an average of 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Wow, that's a lot more than I get every night. All right, so anyway, that's what doctors say. They're saying this is about adults, all right? So about people over 18, 20 years old, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, that kind of thing. I think older people sleep less.
And teenagers need even more sleep.
Teenagers need like 8 to 10 hours,
Yeah,
right?
you guys who are watching this, you need to sleep a lot.
Yeah,
Try.
absolutely. And of course, babies sleep all the time, and cats, well, they do nothing but sleep. But we're talking about people here. Now, if we remember, of course, this is an average. What is an average? The average is kind of like the middle number, all right? We're looking at a big group of numbers, and we're kind of finding the number that's kind of in the middle that represents most of the numbers. How do you find an average? You take a bunch of numbers, you add them all up, and then you divide them by how many numbers you added up, all right?
I'm sure they know this math.
Yeah, we often use this in math class or when we're talking about grades in school or the weather or something like that. It's a good way of getting a basic idea about a big different group of numbers. And the example sentence we have for that is the temperature in Taiwan during the summer is an average of 30 degrees Celsius. So it might get up to 36 or 38. It might go down to 25, but that's kind of a nice middle number. So around 7 to 9 hours.
So if we're supposed to be getting 7 to 9 hours, or if you're a teenager, supposed to be getting 8 to 10 hours, the article says many of us aren't hitting that target, though. Yeah, I think that modern life kind of makes it impossible.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
there's so much.
You gotta really try.
There's so many fun things to do.
Yeah, so when we were talking about hitting a target, that means meeting a goal or meeting what's supposed to be the right spot. So if you're hitting the target of 7 to 9 hours a night, good for you. If you're not, try harder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what you're aiming for. That's what you're trying to do. You don't have to do it. Of course, every day is a little different, but this is sort of your goal. For example, it says a recent study suggested that over 40% of college students in Taiwan don't get enough sleep. Wow.
I'm not
so that's
surprised, but that's sad.
That's right. Almost half, or 4 out of 10 college students, and these are in the sort of young adult category, they're not getting that 7 to 9 hours. That's almost half of them.
Yeah. And when you're young, you feel like you can take it. You feel like they're like, oh, it's fine. I can just, sleep wherever or sleep anytime. But it's still going to affect you later. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this is, of course, a recent study when scientists asked a bunch of college students how much sleep do they get. This is what the study suggested. All right, so there, yes, we saw that the studies suggest students in Taiwan get only 40% get a good amount of sleep. Now, when we suggest things, normally this might be your opinion, what you think. You're putting an idea out there and kind of saying, hey, I think this would be good. I suggest this, or I recommend this, or this is my little bit of advice. But we can also use it in more of a scientific kind of way when we're talking about this is what we think. This is what the science says. This is what the world is telling us. It might not be exactly true, but this is sort of the best evidence that we have. You could say it, in a way, if you look outside and look out the window and say, ooh, those dark clouds suggest that it might start raining soon. All right. So it's not the clouds that are giving you advice. It's the clouds that are giving you evidence. They're kind of showing you that something could be true. But of course, things could change. If scientists did a different study and asked a different question to students, they might find that students in Taiwan actually get more or maybe less sleep. But the studies suggest around 40% don't get enough sleep. Let's look at another sentence using suggest in this way. This research suggests that children learn better when they're allowed breaks for their minds to rest. That sounds like it might make sense. So that study suggested that kids need to get more sleep. And there's other studies that suggest other kind of bad effects on our bodies from not getting enough sleep, right?
Yeah, exactly. The article says there's evidence that this, not getting enough sleep, causes weight gain and is bad for your memory. You ever heard of the freshman 15?
No.
It's apparently in your first year of college, it's tradition to gain about 15 pounds, which is like 7 kilograms.
I see.
I think this might be a big reason. It's my guess, but I think. So, yeah, if you gain weight and start having a bad memory, that means maybe you're not getting enough sleep. So evidence here means proof. It means something that shows a fact or shows that something is true. Evidence means it supports this study's findings as true. It shows the best results we have on this matter. Yeah, so it's kind of like studies suggest this sort of thing, and here's the evidence. Here's the thing that shows this is probably true.
All right, so you might be gaining weight. You might have trouble remembering things. Now, these are maybe hopefully temporary things. You can get healthier, lose some weight. You can get more sleep. Your memory might get better, but there could be much more serious, much more permanent physical damage or physical harm. It says it also might be linked to some kinds of cancer. Yes, there's a possibility of your chances of getting cancer going up if you don't get good sleep. That's a lot more serious.
Yeah, and that's a reason why you definitely should have mostly healthy life habits, because the more unhealthy life habits you have, the more likely you're going to get cancer.
Absolutely. Now let's turn our attention to some of the things that we're doing that can lead to this lack of sleep.
Yeah, so the article says when many of us should be sleeping, we're looking at our smartphones.
I don't do that very often.
I do.
But I do it most of the time. Okay, I do it too much. Yes, this is a big part of the problem. Looking at a smartphone screen before bed worsens sleep quality. I think looking at any kind of screen before bed worsens your sleep quality. But of course, your computer might be in another room. Your TV might be out in the living room. But that smartphone, you can say, hey, I'm going to bed with my phone. And you're not really going to bed. It's the same as sitting in the living room watching TV. All of these things worsen your sleep quality. To worsen, this basically just means to make worse or to become worse. All right, if you don't study and you had bad grades and then you continue to not study, your grades will worsen. All right, if it's the first hour of a typhoon, well, it's not going to get sunny in another hour. No, the weather will continue to worsen until the typhoon blows its way through. It will continue to get worse for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. So why does looking at our smartphone worsen our sleep quality? Well, the article says that's because the blue light from screens, or just any bright light, stops our brain from producing a chemical called melatonin.
Melatonin.
Yeah, we love melatonin. There's actually pills you can take to give you melatonin, actually. So you produce it naturally, but you can also get some from pills, kind of like vitamins.
Okay.
Yeah. But it stops your body from making it. So stop A from doing B means it makes it not possible for A to do B. Or if A tries to do B, it'll make it stop. So stopping your brain from producing melatonin means you can't get that good sleepy stuff.
Right, yeah. Melatonin's made naturally in our body. And of course, our bodies are a lot older than smartphones. Back in the old day, when the sun came up, you got up, you hunted animals, you picked berries, and at night, you went to sleep. But you're tricking your brain by using these lights. Your brain is now making these chemicals, not making these chemicals, I should say, thinking it's still daylight. What is a chemical? Basically, a chemical is it's a substance that's made by a chemical process. Now, I'll just tell you about some chemicals. Nitrogen, hydrogen, calcium, carbon, oxygen, sodium. These are chemicals. If you're in chemistry class, if you're mixing things in test tubes and studying how drugs and medicines are made, these are chemicals that you're using, all right? Some of the most basic chemicals: oxygen, hydrogen, H2O. You guys know that that's water. Those are two chemicals. So that's what we're talking about. And melatonin is a chemical. It's produced naturally by our body. All right. For example, when these two chemicals are mixed, they make an explosion. So please be careful with them. Yeah, very careful. In fact, don't mix them. Let a chemist, someone who works with chemicals, mix them. All right, anyway, so melatonin is an important chemical made by our bodies. It helps us fall asleep. But when we don't make it, as the article says, this makes it harder for us to fall asleep. Basically, our brains are being tricked into thinking it's still daytime. I'm not going to make melatonin because we're awake right now, right?
Exactly, but we're not supposed to be awake. So it makes it harder for us to fall asleep.
Yes. All right, so in that sentence, we said it makes it harder to fall asleep. Here we're using this make it plus an object complement plus for somebody to do something, all right? So when we're using a sentence in this way, we're talking about some kind of action and you hope to have some kind of result by that action. For example, the teacher might let you use a calculator or use your smartphone. That might make it easier for the students to pass the test or something like that, right? If you plan things out, if you pack your bag before you go to school, if you pack your bag the night before you go to school in the morning, that might make it easier for you to catch the bus on time. You're talking about doing something so that you have a result, probably a good result or hopefully a good result. For example, we could talk about smartphones, how smartphones have made it easier for everyone to access maps and directions when they are traveling. Yeah, machines can make things easier for us too, of course.
All right, so of course there's got to be a way to solve this problem because, I mean, you might not have that much free time, and that's too bad, but you need to sleep.
Absolutely.
So what does it say? How do you persuade yourself to sleep earlier? That's a good question. And when we ask, what is persuade? When you persuade somebody, you try to make somebody agree with you, you get them to try an idea that they might not have wanted to do before. So it's trying to persuade them, trying to argue with them until they see your point. So persuasion, which is the noun version of persuade, is using good arguments and good logic to get someone to see your side. You're not forcing them, you're not threatening them, you're not pleading, you're not manipulating them. You are trying to argue your point. If you want to persuade somebody, you'll give good reasons and tell them the positive side of things. You can do the same thing to persuade yourself. Come on, me, I should sleep, and this is why. So here's an example sentence. Minnie tried hard to persuade her family to go to Thailand for a vacation.
Oh, okay.
Because A, B, and C.
Yeah, she really wanted to go. They were like, And so she pointed out all these good things about going to Thailand. And hopefully by the end, they're like, okay, you've changed our mind. We're going to do that. All right, so how can you persuade yourself to stop this bedtime procrastination, to go to bed when you really should? It says some doctors suggest making your bed a device-free zone. Oh, this is a very good tip. Yeah, basically, turn your bedroom into a smartphone-free area. In other words, your smartphone does not come in the bedroom with you. A lot of people might say their bedroom is a food-free zone, right?
Yeah,
you don't want to eat in bed and get crumbs or whatever in your bed. So in the same idea, a device-free zone. Devices meaning small things, small machines like smartphones. So that means no Netflix, no phone, and no computer. Bring a book in with you, bring a magazine, something like that, but none of those screens, none of those bright lights, none of those devices that can keep our brains awake. What is a device? A device is basically a small machine, all right? It's a little thing. It's usually held in your hand. It's probably electronic or something like that. It works with electricity or batteries or whatever. And it does probably one specific job, all right? Your smartphone is definitely a device. The things you might use in the kitchen, you could call that a device. A flashlight is a device that you can use to make light, and you can carry it around with you. And here's another one. What do you call that device that people use to measure temperature? We saw a lot of these, right? During the COVID period, you would go into a mall and the guy's got that little gun kind of thing and they pointed at your forehead. What do you call that device? That would be a digital thermometer.
Yeah, or infrared thermometer.
Yeah, it's a little machine to measure temperature. That's what it does.
Yeah, and so we are talking about making your bedroom a device-free zone. So let's get in the zone and learn what zone means. A zone is an area where certain things are allowed or not allowed. For example, cities are often divided into zones for different things. Residential zones are for living, commercial zones are for shopping and business, and then there's industrial zones that are for factories, transportation centers, things that you don't want to live near because they're loud, noisy, and cause pollution, things like that. Or if you're playing a game with other people, you might have a safe zone. That means no one can get you out or attack you while you're in that place. You're in my safe zone, that means I can't touch you. And a device-free zone, if your bedroom is one, means that in that area, your bedroom, you can't use your device. Means you will put it down before you enter your bedroom because in that zone, your devices are not allowed. Here's another example. This is a no smoking zone, so you can't light up your cigarette here. All right, so if you are in a device-free zone, probably that will help. And the article says properly relax every evening, and soon enough, revenge bedtime procrastination will be a forgotten nightmare.
Ah, yes, a forgotten nightmare. Some terrible thing in the past that you won't have to worry about anymore. But nightmares are really something we normally associate with sleeping, with when you're asleep. Basically, a nightmare is a bad dream. That's all it is. It's a dream that you have. Of course, we dream every night. Sometimes we wake up during the middle of a dream and we remember it. But if you wake up because you're scared, or you wake up and you're crying and you think something terrible is about to happen to you, but it's not because it was just in your mind when you were sleeping, we would call that a nightmare. So
Right.
a good dream, a happy dream. I had a dream last night about my grandma. It was lovely. That's good. I had a dream last night my grandma was trying to kill me. That was a nightmare. That was a bad dream.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, your grandma's not really trying to kill you.
I hope not. Yeah. So yeah, if you make sure that you do some things to try and help yourself to sleep every night, I think getting to sleep shouldn't be a pleasant experience.
It should be, and it should be something we do a little bit earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all we've got for our article on revenge, bedtime procrastination. I feel like we should like RBP that or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right. So let's get to our For You chat.
For You chat.
All right, so we've been talking about good nighttime or bedtime habits. So, Kat, what do you like to do in the evening, especially getting close to bedtime? And is it relaxing or does it keep you awake? And please don't say I like to lie in bed with my smartphone drinking coffee.
That's absolutely no, I'm just kidding.
No, that's not.
I don't make my bedroom a device-free zone, sadly, but I don't watch videos. I put on a podcast.
Oh, okay. So you're listening, but you're not looking.
But there's no screen on.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do that. And since it's cold now, my cat comes to like snuggle with me in a blanket. It helps me get off a little bit easier.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I think before that, I will usually like do chores, but then when it gets about an hour before bedtime, I'll turn off any white lights in my house. And I have only my yellow lights on.
Okay, that's a good idea. Some people might say, you know, drink a nice relaxing cup of herbal tea.
Yeah.
Take a nice shower, you know, but
that too.
Keep those machines off. Kind of wind down slowly. Don't expect your body to just shut down like a computer when you turn it off. Your body is natural. It has to wind down slowly.
It needs some time.
Make that room at least, maybe not a device-free zone, but a blue light
screen-free zone.
Screen-free zone. There you go. So good luck, good sleeping, and we'll see you back here very soon. Until then, ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Vocabulary Review.
Average. It takes an average of 2 to 3 hours to fly from Taipei to Tokyo. Suggest. Mike's boss suggested that she might give him a pay raise due to his recent good work. Chemical. The factory let many chemicals flow into the lake, which killed all the fish. Persuade. Ryan persuaded his mom to let him play video games for another hour, but she wasn't happy about it. Device. A smartphone is a device that can be used for many different purposes, not just calling. Zone. Some stores have special zones for new items so that customers will easily see them.
智慧小补帖
Evidence. Worsen. Nightmare.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net